Okay, welcome to High Speed Healing Wednesdays. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you who are veterans, welcome back. I'm thrilled to see you guys, so many of you on the call today. I'm Deborah Wayne, if you are new to this, and I'm the founder and CEO of the International Chronic Pain Institute. And I help people all over the world virtually in calls like this and programs and one-on-one services. And I help people get their energy back, get their lives back on track once they get rid of chronic pain, depression, anxiety, trauma, battles with food and weight and binge eating and things like insomnia, chronic fatigue, exhaustion, and so much more. So if you've been suffering, you're in the right place. And I'm very, very honored that you've taken time out of your busy life to be here with us today. Today, I'm going to be sharing about one of my very favorite topics in the entire universe because it really totally changed my life and it prepared the soil for what I'm able to do today, helping people all over the world. What's the topic? Meditation. What's all the fuss about meditation? And I'd love to just get a sense of those of you who are in my private Zoom room, how many of you on the call today, show me in the chat if you would, how many of you have meditated before or have learned some kind of meditation, even if you don't think that it was working for you very well, but at least you were attempting to learn. Type yes in the chat, and on Facebook, give me some thumbs up and some hearts. So I have a sense of who's been exposed to what. Have you learned any type of meditation at all? All right, some hands are going up. Okay, good, but not that many. Good, so do we have people who are new? If you're new to meditation, completely new, type new in the chat or post new on Facebook. So I have a sense of who is new and who's a veteran to meditation. Now, there are all types of meditations, and today I'm actually going to cover quite a few things in as much time as I'm going to cram as much as I can into our time together. I'm going to share with you, first of all, why is it even important? What are the benefits? What are some of the myths about meditation that I think keeps a lot of people from doing it or doing it well, even keeps people away? Why, and I've heard this for years, why, if you've tried meditation, why have you had the thought that you're not doing it right? Or that it's not doing anything for you? Or you're wondering, I don't know, like I'm not accomplishing anything, I'm not feeling anything, I'm not sure this is working, what am I supposed to experience? It's kind of boring, my head won't shut up. See, these are the types of things I've been hearing for years from people before I taught them how to meditate. And I want to sort out the myths from the truths and share with you the benefits. And I'll take some Q&A as well. I'm excited for that. So get your questions prepared. You can start typing them into the chat or even in the Q&A if you'd like. And I'll come to them. Whenever you think of a question, make sure you just chat it over to me. And here we go. So I want to take you back to a very, very important moment in my life where I've come to understand that you and I, we're all encoded in our DNA for certain particular moments of time, certain experiences, certain people that come into our lives. There are these moments. And there may only be one of these in a lifetime, but there are these moments that are wake-up calls, that are very, very important, life-changing moments. And I had one of those when I was 15. Now, sometimes these things happen and we ignore them, or we kind of think, we roll our eyes, and because they don't make sense, they're not logical. Sometimes people just poo-poo them and say, oh, they ignore them. Well, thank God I did not ignore my moment. I was 15 And there was a guy, his name was Peter Stern. He's actually passed away a number of years ago. I didn't even know him very well. He was friends with a large group of people that I was friends with. So he was at parties and things that I went to, but we never had a single phone conversation. We never hung out together unless it was at a party. And even then, we never sat down and talked to each other. Uh, we just were not close friends. But one day in school, Peter Stern came up to me for no apparent reason and said, "Hey, Deborah, my sister is in town and she's a meditation teacher. And she's teaching people how to meditate at the Transcendental Meditation Center. And I wondered, do you want to learn?" Now, let me tell you, every single fiber of my entire being lit up. I went nuts. I had to learn to meditate. All I did was hear the word. Now, what's so weird about it is at that point in my life, I never knew anyone ever who meditated. I never had anyone mention meditation to me before. I never had anyone offer to teach me. I didn't know what it was. But when he said the word, bells and whistles went off in me, and my body said, I have to do this. Now, it turns out it cost $150 to go take this weekend workshop initiation. And I went to my father and I said, I need $150 to learn to meditate. Well, I might as well have gone to my father and said, hey, I need all your money and I'm going to go just like throw it out the window. My father completely freaked out. He said, are you kidding me? Absolutely no. I won't give you a red cent. You're not going to learn to meditate. It's a cult and you're crazy. You've lost your mind. Well, that didn't go over very well. Thank goodness. I remember to this, like it was yesterday, I remember I started screaming and crying. You don't understand. I have to do this. You don't understand, which was my mantra when I was young anyway. And he said, well, you know, if you were mature enough to learn to meditate, you wouldn't be crying and having a tantrum like a 2-year-old. End of subject. So he walked out of the room. And I thought, I'm going to get a job and earn the money. And that's exactly what I did, because every fiber of my being knew that I had to learn to meditate. So I did. I earned the money. I went and learned, and it changed my entire life. I did it religiously. I put a note on the door, do not disturb. I shut the door, and for 20 minutes, twice a day, every day, like I took it very seriously. And I did it for years until much, much later in my life, where I dropped off for a few years. And those were my years of health hell, by the way, which some of you have heard me talk about. I'm not going to go into that tonight. My point is that there are moments in time, and you've had them. You may not have really listened, but you've had them or you will have them, where there's something, and it may be very loud and bold like mine was, but it may be soft and subtle, and it may nag at you and nag at you and nag at you that you need to do this, you need to learn this, you need to go there, you need to meet that person, you need to try something. You may get that still small voice, or you may get the big Hollywood moment, but you're getting them. And I want you to pay attention to them, because that is your inner voice talking to you. And that's what happened to me that day with Peter. So I learned to meditate. This was many years ago, and it literally woke me up to a world that I had no idea even existed, but it woke up parts of me that have really laid the foundation for everything that I've been doing now for years, where I'm able to facilitate energy healing to tens of thousands of people now in 150 countries around the world. I am absolutely certain it laid the groundwork for that and many, many more things. Now, I was also in my teenage years, especially, I had a very rough teenage time with my mother in particular. Every day was fighting, screaming, slamming doors, yelling, sarcasm. It was ugly. It was ugly. And I added to that ugliness because I didn't have the coping skills and I couldn't find that inner peace I was looking for. And so meditation helped me with this because I was anxious, I was depressed, I was very self-conscious, I had low self-esteem, I didn't feel like I fit in. I always thought, you didn't understand, nobody understands. I was angry, really angry. And I wasn't even sure why. And I wasn't in touch with what was deeper underneath the anger, which was fear. I had 100 forms of fear all the time. And meditation started to help. So some of the benefits, I'm just going to get right to it and share with you, because there's actually been studies now since the 1970s. There's been research. This is not just something that I experienced. This has been studied and proven and measurable results. So some of the things that people experience are calmer, quieter minds. It finally shuts off that mind chatter. Now, right away, not necessarily. For everybody, not necessarily. But if you practice consistently, you will find that your mind finally gets quiet. There is a release of stress that is just sometimes within minutes. I will sit down to meditate and I don't even know I'm upset or bothered by something, and emotions come up, they bubble up and they release, and woof, my body relaxes. It releases physical stress and tension, the pent-up emotional anxiety, the pent-up anger, all types of emotions, sadness. Sometimes I will find myself crying and I don't know why, and it doesn't matter why. It's been stored up. And we know that this type of stress and emotional pain is at the root of dis-ease and pain symptoms. Those of you that know me, you've heard other stories I've told and all the things I talk about from science, as well as working with clients. And you know that the mental strain and the emotions are at the root of pain and physical symptoms of disease. So meditation is a huge relief valve. It's like it just opens the valve and it helps all this stuff start to move out. Now, it doesn't always happen rapidly. It can happen slowly, bit by bit. It's not usually overwhelming for people. It's often relaxing, but not always. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Some of the other benefits: it helps with sleep. Those of you suffering, and I know you are, from insomnia, I hear it every day from my clients. Every day I get emails, I can't sleep, I haven't slept in years. Meditation helps with this. Meditation helps with creativity, tapping into ideas, clarity, mental clarity, focus, concentration, memory, productivity. I mean, who doesn't want this? It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a large corporation or you're running a family, a household. You need to be clear-headed, be able to make decisions quickly, focus, lead your team, whether it's a team of employees or a team of little kids. You've got a team to lead. You may be the head of some kind of volunteer organization, or maybe you're part of a creative project. Whatever it is, we all want clarity. We all want to be able to focus and remember and keep our brains and our minds sharp and keen, right? I mean, I don't know anyone who would say, yeah, I'd really love brain fog and I'd like to lose my memory. And nobody feels that way, nobody. So meditation helps with this. It improves, you know, this is so interesting. They've done studies with kids who are considered troublemakers, deviant. They're the kids at school that are getting detention and getting thrown out of school. And I forget where it was. I want to say, I'm sorry, I forget which state. It might have been California, but I think it was last year they did an experiment with kids who were, I mean, there were a lot of them who were on detention or thrown out. And instead of putting them on detention, they put them all in a classroom and they taught them to meditate. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? They calmed down. They settled down. They were flunking out of school because many of them were repeat offenders. Instead, they started doing their homework. They started focusing. They started relaxing. You know, a lot of kids are coming from broken, troubled homes. No one's there for them. There's violence, there's abuse, they're hungry, they're angry, they're lonely, they're tired, they feel abandoned, abused. These kids are not going to sit in a classroom and be good kids. They're acting out because they're in pain. When you teach them to meditate, it helps them release a lot of the trauma, the stress, the tension, and get in sync with a natural state, with a flowing, more easeful, comfortable place. They don't know how to be in their skin. And, you know, adults are no different. Adults are no different. So it helped kids. I had a practitioner that I trained who was a teacher, and she had the, I don't know what they labeled them. I hate these labels, but these were the kids that were not performing well. So they tend to get labeled ADD, ADHD, or disabled in some way, or mentally whatever, you know, like they're sub-learners. But the truth is, with a lot of these kids, they are really just upset. They have emotional upheaval, they have abuse going on, or they have a lot of stress that they don't know how to release and relieve. And so this woman that I trained, she started doing high-speed healing with them, my energy healing. She transformed this entire classroom of, it was 30 or 40 kids. Now, I'm going to explain in a little bit the difference between high-speed energy healing and meditation, because they're not the same, but they do have some similar effects. The high-speed healing is much faster, but meditation can have similar effects. Let's see what else. Insomnia, headaches. Oh, here's a big one. Meditation, those of you suffering from digestive issues, meditation is really powerful for helping to alleviate digestive drama, problems with elimination, just food sensitivities and disturbances when you eat. It can really, really calm down the gut. And I am firsthand testimonial to that. If I can totally tell the difference if I am meditating or not meditating, makes a huge difference right away. What else? Calming the mind, emotional. Oh, I mentioned decision-making, intuition. So now it's becoming more and more popular. People are saying, you know, I want that intuition thing working. Yes, you do. You have an inner GPS that is there to guide you. It's one of those things that's hardwired into your DNA. It can be affected, though, in a negative way by things like sugar, alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, lack of sleep, emotional trauma, physical pain, surgeries, negativity of, you know, bombarded with negativity. There are things that definitely affect your intuition if you're very, very left brain, linear, logical, and you've been taught that, and you've been taught to only trust your intellect. You have intuition, but you may have difficulty trusting it or listening to it. And so with meditation, it will improve your inner guidance, your intuition, your sense of conscience. You'll be a better listener, not only to your own inner self, but to other people as well, because meditation brings you very, very in the present moment. Now, that's a really cool phrase that you see on lots of quotes these days. You know, the present moment is the gift. Be in the present, live in the present, live now. Now is all there is. You hear all this stuff, but what does it really mean? And how do you get there? Meditation is a tool, a big, important tool to help you learn to practice living in the now. See, most people, it's not natural to live in the now because we've lived in a world that's taught you to be thinking 5, 10 years ahead and to plan it all out so you don't fail. Because you're going to fail, because you got to be a success, because you got to have a plan. See, we've learned all this. We've learned all this. You've had it beaten into you. I've had, I'll never forget when I had a mother call me and say her 8-year-old had migraines and she didn't know why and she didn't want to put him on drugs. So I worked on him and discovered he was worried about getting into college. He's 8. He's 8. But his school was already talking about getting into college. And this kid was filled with anxiety at 8 years old. This, my friends, is the world we're living in. There's a lot of belief in competition, in being the best. Always got to be the best. Always got to do more, learn more, know more, be smarter, be prettier, be whatever, more, not enough. And it couldn't be further from the truth, but the way to interrupt that pattern and discover the truth is to learn to be very present in the moment and to be a great listener. And in relationships, this is how meditation also can improve greatly your relationships, because how many of you have ever found that you're in a relationship with someone that you love, but you feel like they're not even there? You're talking to them and they're kind of looking off into space, or they're looking at their phone, or they're typing, or they're, but you can tell they're not there. They're not present with you. And it doesn't feel good. In fact, we get insulted. And then we might react to that in a negative way, and then they react to us and we react to them. Before you know it, there's a blow up, a fight, a breakup. This happens every day. I work with people every day who are going through this because their friend, mate, spouse, child, whatever, isn't present, isn't listening. And you can feel it. You can tell when someone is not present, and they can tell when you're not present. So being there for someone in a very present, listening, deep listening state is one of the greatest gifts that you can give anyone and that they can give you. But it's a skill that has to be learned, because usually by the time a child is 6, 7, maybe 8, if you're lucky, they're already like, I want to go there now. I want to be over here and there. Like, they're not present anymore. You look at a young child, for example, at the beach, and they have a shovel and some sand, and they're shoveling and just sticking their hands in the sand, and maybe they have a little water, right? They could spend all day with a shovel, a little water, their hands, and a hole in the sand, digging. And they are giggling and present and focused and clear. They're not, distracted. They're not checking their phone. They are fully present in a very simple way because they've not learned yet how to be out of the moment. It's a beautiful sight to behold. So here's another very interesting thing about meditation that I love. In the 1970s, they did a study with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was the head of the Transcendental Meditation movement. He basically brought it to the West. And they were the first ones to do actual formal scientific studies. And they discovered that when a group of people meditated together in a certain area, it lowered the crime rate in the city. They were doing these studies initially in Washington, D.C., and trying to affect the crime rate, and it did. And there is something now called the Maharishi effect. And it's really where we know now that groups of people meditating together are having an impact, not just on the individuals that are meditating, but in the field around them for quite some distance. I think I wanted to say might have been a 24-mile radius. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember. I think it's 24-mile radius. Um, but we know now it may even be further because of all the newer research about the field, which, you know, that's my thing, the field, the biofield around the body, and then the huge field that we're all interconnected. See, this is the thing. We're all interconnected in a gigantic field that's like an ocean. It's an ocean of energy and information. And we're sharing that information whether we're aware of it or not. So when you meditate, yes, you're helping yourself improve all these areas of health and improve your life in many ways, but you're helping everyone else as well. It's a very high purpose to practice meditation. It's an unselfish act. Now, they've also shown that meditation lowers blood pressure. So those of you that have high blood pressure, pills, meditate. Interesting question, right? I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just sharing what I know. Eye strain, headaches, those of us on the computer all day. Oh my God, I don't know about you. I get headaches. I have to take breaks, and all I have to do is meditate, and wow, everything just relaxes. I can get rid of a headache like that. It is very powerful. It also helps with movement, flexibility, and athletic performance. And those of you, you don't have to be a professional athlete to benefit from that. So those of you that enjoy any kind of movement or activity or hiking or gardening or anything that's physical, and especially those of you who are athletic and do competitive sports or professional athletes or dancers or artists, you want to make sure you're very sharp and skilled and are at your best. And meditation is definitely a practice that will help you. Now, what else have I seen? Okay, this is one that I particularly love. And it's kind of related to that intuitive piece, but when you meditate, and this could happen early on, but it could happen anywhere, depending on how long you've been meditating. Some people have this sense right away, and some people not for a long time, and anywhere in between. But you will have an experience at some point where you recognize that you are connected to the universe, to the cosmos, to something so much greater than just you and your personality. That this isn't even about your brain and neuroscience. This goes beyond the brain. You will become aware. Maybe you'll have what I call mystical experiences that really show you a reality, that there's more going on than just the physical world that we can touch and smell and taste and hear and see. There is so much more going on. And it's actually very exciting and life-changing when you don't just read about this in a book, but when you have the actual experience of it. And that is what literally changed my life, because I've had quite a few of these, what I call mystical meditative experiences just from meditating, and they were unexpected. I couldn't make them happen. I didn't ask for them. I didn't even know to ask for them in the beginning. They happened spontaneously, and they changed my perception of everything. Now, I know right now it's very cool and in to do things like plant medicine, psilocybin mushrooms, microdosing, all these things. There's technology as well that you can strap to your head, and it can teach you to meditate, or it can change your brainwave state so that you have these mystical experiences. I am not here to judge, and I'm not opposed, but what I'm saying is this. Many people can't afford, super duper advanced technology. They just, they can't afford to spend $10,000 and go into a research lab, or they don't want to. it also makes you dependent on the technology. Drugs, okay, interesting. If you do it with somebody that is trained and that has, skills in this, and it's legal, I'm all for it. Well, no, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not. And I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't always have positive effects. I've worked with quite a few people who had very negative um, side effects when the drugs wore off, or they had something in them that were not clean, that were not, that was very harmful to their system. They couldn't, it did something to the neurotransmitters, it did something to the physical body, and people couldn't quite get back in their body. They didn't feel like themselves. They felt disassociated and very uncomfortable. And some of them, it was very extreme, and it kept them from being functional. They couldn't work. I've been able to help them, but there's a lot of risk involved when you take a drug and you don't know how it's going to affect you. So I'm not a fan. And it's not that I think, plant medicine is bad or wrong. I'm not a fan of the risk that you're taking when you do this, even if you have a guide and are doing it well. I've just had too many people I know that have ended up, coming to me for help afterwards, and it's not pretty. The main reason I'm not a fan of any of this external stuff is because I absolutely am 100% certain that you, just like me, we all have inner technology. This is the age of energy. We entered the age of energy when that internet got turned on for the first time. Remember the first day you ever turned on the internet, and you were all of a sudden instantly connected to everyone around the world? Yes, you did that without our technology, yes, but it was a symbol for the fact that we've entered the age of interconnection and energy. We entered the age of the field. And everything we see in our physical world is a reflection of the state of consciousness that we're in and moving into in a greater way. That's what happened. And so we're in that now. There is no turning back. We are in the age of interconnectedness via the field. And what's so amazing is that outer is reflecting what's already in your inner. You are wired with inner technology to have everything you need to connect with everyone, everywhere, with the cosmos. You don't even need a laptop for that. Okay? You can go beyond what your laptop can do for you if you learn this particular skill. No, it doesn't always happen overnight. I know we're in the era of everybody wants it now, high speed. I get it. But as with most things that are valuable and worth anything, it takes some time, often to develop the ability. We all want, the perfect weight and great strength and brilliant intelligence. Well, it means we have to do some things to, at least right now, and that may change, but right now we have to do some things to achieve and attain those goals. So meditation is a practice. It's not about getting it perfect. It's a practice. And it's meant to be done. It's meant to be practiced every day. Just like someone wanting to be a great pianist practices the piano. I was a dancer for many, many years. Every single day I practiced. I went to class. I went to technique class. I must have turned on one leg millions of times in my life. It is a practice. If you have a business, you have to practice certain skills to get your business going. If you have a family, you have to practice certain skills. You have to teach your kids to practice. Meditation's no different. And it's actually fun and relaxing. So, it's one of the easier things to do. Now, we've entered that age of energy, of mind-body medicine is one of the other common terms for it, of energy medicine, of energy healing. These are new terms, and unfortunately, they get all kind of thrown in the same bucket, and they're not all the same meaning. Depends on which group you're in that defines it, but because it's not all the same. But what it indicates is that we now are starting to really see, and the science is also showing, the interconnection of the mind, the body, the spirit, the energy, the field, all of these things. See, we're waking up to this now more than ever before. And it is going in one direction only. It's growing, it's booming. And the whole area, for example, of biofield science, it's booming. And so, although this is also ancient knowledge, it's also new science. It's both. And they're talking about the same thing in a different language. So many of you probably who have been into yoga or Buddhism, or just, there are many different cultures that have practiced some form of meditation for centuries. It may not be new to you. You've probably heard about it for a long time, but that's part of the problem, is that people think you have to be some kind of spiritual guru or religious or go live on a mountaintop. And you don't. Meditation is a valid practice for our 21st century life. In fact, it's, in my opinion, more important now than ever before, because we're getting too big of a gap between our inner world and our outer technology. And the more sophisticated we get with this outer technology, and the less time we spend in nature, the more disconnected we become from our inner world. And that's where you may not even know you have that inner technology going on, available to you, but it is there. And so I'm more passionate than ever for talking about the things that help people remember or discover for the first time the inner technology that you have, that the pilot light might be dim, but it never goes out. It can't go fully out. So it's time to ignite it and wake it up. Because let me ask you this, what if, God forbid, what if you were in a situation where you found yourself stranded with no cell phone? What if you were in a disaster? What if you found yourself with nobody and no technology to rely on? Wouldn't you want to be able to access a skill that would help you calm down and even connect and be able to communicate invisibly with someone else? I would. And that's why I feel and have experienced, in fact, I've experienced this. I don't have time for all my stories tonight, but let's just say meditation one time saved me. I was in my early days, I had an office in Arizona, my first office, and it was on the second floor of this office building. And I saw clients at night. I shared the office with someone else, and she was there most of the time in the day, and I was there in the late afternoon and evening. And one evening I went into there was a common restroom, and I went in to use the restroom before I went to take my drive home. And I'm in there, and all of a sudden I hear someone locking the restroom. So the maintenance people were cleaning up for the night, and they locked the restroom, and they locked me in there. And I was screaming and pounding on the door, and nobody heard me. Not a sound. Nobody heard me. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess if you have to be locked in somewhere, this was a good place to be locked in, but I didn't really want to spend the night in there. So I started meditating and sending out thoughts. And lo and behold, within a half an hour, someone came by accident, they said, just by coincidence. They came back to the office for something, and they heard me and opened the door, and I got out. And you could blow that off as coincidence, but see, I don't, because I've had other experiences that are similar, where I knew that by being very present and calm and in that power that we all have, I was able to communicate, and I wasn't even worried. I knew that it would happen. I knew that I would get out of there. Don't you want that kind of confidence? Don't you want that skill? I certainly do. So it's been one thing that's helped me always keep the practice alive. Now, let's see, what else do I want to tell you? So there are different types of meditation, and they're not all the same. There's something, you probably all heard the term guided meditation. There's guided meditation where you have a leader, and the leader verbally takes you through something, a process. And all different kinds of guided meditations, but it always involves having a leader. There are visualizations, which get thrown into the pile of meditation, but it's not really meditation the way I'm referring to it. There are music meditations, where you usually put on a headset or earbuds or listening to music of some kind, and it guides you into a deeper state as well. There's sound meditation, which is a little different, because sound meditation often involves either chanting or singing or crystal bowls or Tibetan bowls, or maybe you've heard the term binaural beats. I'm not going to go into explaining all this today, but sound meditation. There are breathing meditations that you can do where you learn specific breathing techniques. Mindfulness is a big type of meditation that many people are into. Mindfulness meditations, where you learn to observe your thoughts and watch your thoughts and keep a distance from your thoughts. There's moving meditations, where you're actually walking, maybe even dancing or spinning. Maybe some of you have seen or heard the whirling dervishes. There are definitely practices using movement and spinning that put people into an altered state, which is designed to create union with the divine. There's silent meditation, which is really what I'm referring to when I refer to the term meditation. I'm referring to, it's done in silence, it's done alone, it could be done in a group, but if it's in a group, everyone is silent. And there is a practice that you've learned where you can do it alone by yourself, and you don't need to be dependent on any outer technology or an outer person or music or anything outside yourself in order to practice it and have the benefits of it. So silent meditation is what I teach. And well, actually I teach several different forms, because here's what I found. The biggest problems, and why people say to me, Deborah, I don't think I'm doing it right. Nothing happens, it's so boring. I don't feel anything, my mind never gets quiet. I don't have a zen, I don't feel zen, I feel like agitated even. Or I can't sit still, and I just don't think it's doing anything. The reason that you feel that way or think that way is twofold. One, you have a misunderstanding. It's a myth. Write this down. It's a myth to think that you're going to sit down and meditate and immediately, or even at all, just be in this Zen-like blissful state. No. I've been meditating for 1,000,000 years, and there are days where I sit down and my head does not shut up, and worries come up or emotions come up, or those are the days you're making the greatest progress. See, people have a very strong misconception that you have to get up at 4 a.m. and climb a mountaintop and sit cross-legged and om and meditate, and you're going to feel completely blissful. It's just not true. There's all kinds of experiences you're going to have on different days when you meditate. And one of the reasons, though, I think the biggest reason that I discovered that people are not enjoying the experience is because they have been practicing a form of meditation that is not in alignment with their learning style. What do I mean by that? So most people are visual learners. They learn by reading, writing, reading, seeing something, a picture. There are also many people who are auditory learners. Those of you that like to listen to audiobooks and you can actually retain what you're hearing while you're driving or whatever, you're an auditory learner. Then there are kinesthetic learners. They need to, like a dancer who needs to feel it in their body, or they're underlining every page with markers and they're dog-earing the pages and they like to touch something. They learn kinesthetically. And then, of course, there are people who use a combination. But most meditation practices are often done silently and they're auditory. So if you're not an auditory learner, you may struggle with it. And so what I've done, years ago, I created a program called From Chaos to Calm with Meditation Made Easy. And I created it for this very reason, that all the people that were coming to me, I used to teach live meditation workshops. And that everyone that was coming was just so unhappy with the results that they had done before, they came to me. They just weren't getting the benefits. But I found out they were practicing a method that just didn't jive with their learning style. So I started to teach them a visual technique for meditating, an auditory technique for meditating, a kinesthetic technique, a combination technique, and even a technique with your eyes wide open. And then people started to find the method that worked for them, that they actually enjoyed. And once they had that, then I encouraged them to practice the other methods as well, the other techniques, because it would awaken parts of them and abilities within them that weren't as turned on, that weren't as natural for them. So that might be what's happening with you if you've been struggling. And I'm going to put the link. You can, I turned the whole workshop, it used to be only live. I turned it into an audio course a number of years ago. You can still get that course if you would like it. And I'm going to put the link in here to where you can, it's 2 audio files. The first one is the workshop, the recording of the workshop. And even the Q&A is also in there. And then the second file are the 5 techniques that I guide you through. And it's really short, like each one is just maybe 5 minutes that I guide you through it, and you can follow along. You can find which one you like that's easier for you, and then you can learn to practice all of them. And then you ideally will do it, for longer periods of time as you get more and more practiced. But you can go to internationalcpi.com/C, the number 2 and C. It stands for Chaos to Calm. So internationalcpi.com/C2C. Now, before you do that, I want to share with you that those of you who are not yet members of my High Speed Healing Universe, that is the Wednesday call that's at 5 p.m. Pacific. It follows this call every week. That's my membership program. And the membership for an entire month is less than the investment for the Chaos to Calm audio course. So if you want that course, I give it to you for free when you become a member of the High Speed Healing Universe. So if you go to internationalcpi.com/HSHU, that's the High Speed Healing Universe. You can sign up for even just 1 month. There's no contracts or none of that. You can come for 1 month. And on the very first day that you become a member, you sign up to become a member of the High Speed Healing Universe, you get immediately the Chaos to Calm meditation course. So that's the way you could save on it if you would like to do that. And there's other benefits as well, but that's, if you want to learn to meditate, that's where you can do it. And then we're going to be practicing. In fact, today we're going to be practicing meditating in the High Speed Healing Universe. You could sign up today and come and meditate with us at 5, or anytime you wish. I'll be doing it from time to time, and we'll be doing group meditation. I do guided meditations. I expose people to a variety of types of meditation, but you can learn how to do it with all my techniques and then practice with us in the group as well. And you can do that today if you are motivated. Now, just very quickly, I want to share with you that the high speed energy healing, it is different. This is where I have learned, because of meditation, I'm able to access very high dimensional healing frequencies. This is not Deborah. This is coming through Deborah, but these are galactic wavelengths, galactic frequencies that have incredible ability to bring what are known as coherent waves. These frequencies carry information, and frequencies create healing results. And the high speed energy healing is like 1,000,000 times faster than the results you get from meditation. Now, don't get me wrong. I still believe you need to learn to meditate and should do it. But the high speed healing, as a short term leg up, helps people change their vibration rapidly, release the disturbances that could take a lot longer from just meditation alone. Like, for example, I had a yoga teacher once who told me that after meditating for 20 years, he finally wasn't depressed anymore. And I remember thinking, well, yeah, but I don't want to spend 20 years before my depression leaves. I want that something faster. So, you know, I know today most people, they don't have the patience for that. So when you combine the two, when you have high speed energy healing first for a series of sessions, and you start to shift and change and release and heal, and then you meditate as a daily practice, you have the perfect combination for health, for success in your life, your relationships, your business. Like, you've got your intuitive tool turned on. You've got what I feel are the best combination of anything out there. So I highly recommend that you at least check it out and experience this for yourself. You can do that any number of ways with me. You can do it with me one-on-one. You can do it with me in my Pain Free Living group program. You can become a member. Becoming a member of the High Speed Healing Universe is the most affordable way, and it's a good first step. And it's only, you know, you commit to 1 month, and then if you're not happy, you can leave. But people stay month after month after month, and hopefully you'll stay with me forever. Now, let me quickly look at a couple of these questions. So Andrew's saying when he meditates, his mind drifts off and he doesn't return to the mantra for a long time, and this makes him wonder if he's getting the benefit. Well, here's the thing. Your mind will drift. That's the nature of the mind, and that's why you need to practice meditation, because you're retraining your mind to go back to the mantra. Your mind is going to drift. It is. Don't expect it not to. And it's kind of a paradox. The less you expect it not to, the more focused you'll be. But the fact that you're noticing that your mind drifted off and then you bring it back to the mantra, that is the practice of meditation. So you're not doing it wrong. You just need a little coaching. But that's the practice right there, is that you're focused on it. And then all of a sudden you're thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner and the laundry or whatever it is, what you're doing over the weekend. And then you go, oh my God, I wasn't thinking about my mantra. So you bring it back. And there you have the practice. So Andrew, that's great. Kathy's saying, after the newness of TM wore off, I could never get that incredible feeling back. And it made me lose interest because I couldn't feel or see any more results. And out of all the people I know who do TM, they have had the same experience. Great at the beginning and then question mark. I did it for a year and then I stopped. Okay, so that's not my experience. And there are plateaus, yes, but those are the most important times to stick with it as a practice, because what happens is, think about your life. Haven't you ever had just like really high experiences in life and you're like, God, I love my life. It's so great. And then it isn't. And then it isn't. It's boring. It's flat. You're like, is this all there is? See, meditation mirrors life, and it will help you become more consistent no matter what is happening in life. You will stick with it, and you'll discover that you will go through the plateau. The boredom will not last forever. The high isn't better than the low or the plateau. You start to not get addicted to the high. And this is where the one caveat I would say about meditation is that many people use it as a drug, as an escape, and they get addicted to it to escape life, to escape their reality. And it's not an excuse for not feeling your feelings, not dealing with the problems that you have, or the issues, or the conflicts in life. It's not an escape. It's not meant to be an addiction and replace dealing with life. And I've seen people do this a lot. So that could be what happened. I suspect if you had stuck with it longer, you had a honeymoon phase. And with every relationship, the honeymoon wears off. And Kathy's saying, yes, I was addicted to the high. Thank you. You're so welcome. See, that's it. And if you stick with it, you're going to get triple the benefits in so many more ways than you realize, because the high is not the goal of meditation. There is no goal. And with that, I have to go because the High Speed Healing Universe is in 2 minutes. And this was a lot of fun, and we can continue this conversation. And I hope some of you will join the universe and learn to meditate, get my course, and stay with us and meditate with us. We're going to be doing it today and probably within a half an hour. So you can still join, and you can still sign up today and meditate with us later. All right, I love you. I'm so grateful to have you in my world, in my community. Thanks for being here and taking time out of your life. Share it. Please share this with your Facebook friends and your email list, and get everybody involved, because we're living in a time now more than ever before, where we need to be plugged into a power greater than our intellect. We need this skill, and we need the health benefits, the sanity benefits. So give it away, give it away, give it away, pass it on. All right. Love you guys. Much love.